Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Elevating Your Life. Oh my gosh, it's going to be fantastic today. I have been counting the days for this fantastic interview. We have with us today Douglas Hodgson. He is a former dean and professor of law, currently residing in Perth, Australia. He undertook postgraduate legal study at the University of London before embarking on a 35-year career in higher education in Canada, Australia, and New Zealand as a teacher, researcher, scholar, human rights advocate, and university administrator. Douglas is the author of Spiritual Revelations from Beyond the Veil: What Humanity Can Learn from the Near-Death Experience. This book is so amazing. It just, every chapter just touched me so much. His book, Decouples, examines the intriguing accounts of people who have undergone a near-death experience, NDE, and what was revealed to them while outside their physical bodies. And Douglas is going to share more on that. It's just so fantastic. First off, I want to welcome you, Douglas. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Paula. It's very kind of you to have me on your program, and I'm very much looking forward to sharing my research findings with you and your audience. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so grateful. Well, Douglas, share if you want to share a little more of your background with us and tell us kind of what triggered you to begin this project and create this amazing book.
Well, Paula, before I answer that question, I'd like to introduce you and your audience to two quotations that I believe sums up the pure essence of the near-death experience. The first one is from the French philosopher Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who once observed that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And the second quotation is from the Eastern Taoism religion, from the Tao Te Ching, chapter 50. And it goes something like this: life is a venturing forth, death is a returning home. So if I can essentially, in my own words, paraphrase those quotations, human beings in their natural pure state are spiritual beings, and we only spend some of our time on earth to learn what we are required to learn on earth during our earthly incarnation. And when that mission is complete, and when our body dies, when we experience physical death, we return to the spirit world, and that is our true home. So that, I think, sets the context for what I'm about to say during our time together. Now, about me, I'll keep it short, but I was fortunate enough, blessed enough to have a 35-year career in higher education, mainly in Australia, but in New Zealand and Canada as well. But I found, Paula, that as a busy university academic, I had very little time for my own hobby or recreational reading. But one big exception was in or around 1990, I had occasion to read Dr. Raymond Moody's pioneering work on the near-death experience phenomenon, entitled Life After Life. That was a previous edition, of course. And what I read totally fascinated and captivated me. And as I've got older, I find myself becoming less religious and more spiritual, if that makes any sense. And when I retired in early 2018, a whole new world opened up to me, and I had that time to follow my true reading recreational pursuits. And one of the first books that I picked up and read was another book on the near-death experience by Dr. Eben Alexander, Proof of Heaven, a neurosurgeon's journey into the afterlife. And once again, I was really totally engrossed with what I read. It really touched me. It resonated with me, and I thought I have to find out much more about the so-called near-death experience. So I was fortunate enough to find on the web the archives of the International Association for Near-Death Studies. The acronym is EANS. And they have a wonderful database containing hundreds upon hundreds of written near-death experience accounts, all written anonymously, mind you, but I started to scour those accounts. And the more I read, the greater the number of accounts that I read, the more I detected common themes, common messaging, and revelations. And mind you, the authors might have expressed their meaning somewhat differently in somewhat varying nuances, but essentially they were saying the same thing. And being a good university academic, I couldn't help myself. I decided to make copious notes. And slowly but surely, a book started to take shape. I collated the material into chapter headings. And then I started reading NDE accounts to the effect that I was at the Vail, but I was not allowed to cross over. But the being of light, or God, or the source, informed me that I must return to my earthly body, because my life on earth, my mission was not yet complete, and that I had to share with humanity the messages and revelations and the divine knowledge that was shared with me at the Veil. So this is what I've done. I consider myself to be a humble mouthpiece for over 500 authors of these NDE accounts that are on the website of the EANS archives. So that's a rather long-winded answer, but that's how this book came to be.
I love it. I love it. And I can only imagine what it was like with your studies and reading the accounts of these people and what happened. And you mentioned that, a lot of times there was like common things that people mentioned or what may have happened with them. Share a few of those, if you would, what people have
Well,
experienced.
certainly. My book contains over 20 chapters, and it's very hard to go through everything in a short interview, but there's a lot of emphasis on positive and negative energy, and this is frequently mentioned in the NDE accounts. Positive energy examples would be unconditional love, the purest form of love that does not attach conditions to its flow, that is a love for all that is, and it does not differentiate in any circumstance. Compassion, charity, both material and spiritual charity, forgiveness, patience, joy, gratitude, truthfulness, peacefulness, and contentment. And these examples of positive energy can be found, of course, in the sacred scriptures of the world's mainstream religions, both Eastern and Western religion. I've called them, in a previous book I've written, divine virtues or universal ethical principles. And the NDEers also frequently mention types of negative energy that we should try to avoid if we are to successfully fulfill our mission on Earth. And those are, for example, anger, aggression, hatred, greed, stealing, untruthfulness, finding fault with others, and doing harm to others, not only humans, but to any sentient beings. And once again, although the NDEers use the dichotomy positive and negative energy, that negative energy is we are encouraged by the world's mainstream religions to avoid that type of energy. So if you look at the Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, their dichotomy is between righteousness and goodness versus evil. And if you look at Eastern religion, the dichotomy is between enlightenment or self-realization and ignorance or unskillfulness. But that's the analogy that I've drawn. And the end of ears frequently references positive and negative energy. Other common messaging is that we tend on Earth to fear the death of our bodies. We fear, and that is a very destructive form of negative energy. And the message of the end of ears is fear, any type of fear, including of death, is human error. It is an earthly construct, and there is no need for us to fear the death of our bodies because our soul, our consciousness, our spirit, or life force, whatever you want to call it, is transcendental in nature. It transcends earthly time and space. We survive the death of our physical bodies, and we are greeted, we enter a world of spirit. They describe the afterlife as being beautiful beyond comprehension and description. Many of them use the term ineffable, that they just can't describe it in human language. One NDEer said it's a bit like trying to depict a magnificent sunset by drawing it in sand on the beach with a stick. The full richness and meaning of it cannot be accurately conveyed. So those are the two main messages. Well, there's one other that I'd like to share with you and your audience, and I found this very profound. That what we consider on Earth to be very important to us is things like power, personal fame, material wealth, or career and accomplishments, and what have you. But those things I've just indicated are relatively meaningless in the world of spirit. As one being of light said to an NDEer, these things are irrelevant, insignificant, and superficial in the higher realms. But what is significant for our earthly incarnations is the doing of so-called small kindnesses. For example, feeding a stray cat and making sure you take it to a temporary shelter. Or if you're in a shopping center, holding a door open and helping an elderly person with their shopping bag. Or if you're driving a car, being courteous and letting someone merge into traffic in front of you. And as one NDE has said, these are regarded on earth as trivial actions, but in the world of spirit, they are regarded as profound manifestations of love.
I love that. And I've always viewed, having kindness and compassion and those little things, just sharing a smile or a compliment with someone, helping them, that's a server's heart. And I've always believed being a kind, caring person is much more of a gift to yourself than to others. I mean, it is a wonderful thing for us, isn't it?
We are required, according to the NDE, as part of our earthly mission, to manifest loving kindness. As you say, Paula, to to radiate positive energy towards others. And this is what is expected of us as one of our life's lessons, to develop our capacity to manifest unconditional love and to assist others. Quite right.
Yes, yes. And, it's so wonderful that NDEers, in your book, you talk so much about energy, and I myself as a Reiki practitioner teacher for 25 years now, and it's fantastic. And I've wondered with the NDE, I'm also a shaman, and there was a time in my shaman training, I actually went on a journey outside my body. And I actually, from that day on, I swear, I see through new eyes. I have so believed that's so true, that
Mhm.
our body is just the vehicle on this life's highway. That's what I call it.
In fact, the NDEers, they have a number of descriptions for our body. And some say it's the soul's prison. I think that's a bit negative. Some describe it as the shell, the shell or shelter for the soul or consciousness, or the temporary refuge during our time on earth. But the purpose of our physical body, of course, is to allow our soul or consciousness to experience life on earth and to learn its lessons from that experience. So we must take care of our physical bodies and not alter the energy flow with intoxicants and drugs, etc., and to live as pure a life as we possibly can.
Yes, yes. And something that in your book that I just loved was, in truth, we really never sleep, only our bodies do. Our consciousness is always aware and active. That's fascinating to think about.
This is true. This is true. If I can give you an example from an end-to-ear, the end-to-ear said, when we sleep at night and wake up in the morning, we consider our dream to be a mere illusion. It wasn't real. That our earthly life is real. That's our only reality. But the NDEers say that when you are in the world of spirit, you experience the ultimate reality. So that for them, those who have had an OBE or an NDE, earthly life is the mere dream or illusion. We are here playing a cameo role. We are almost actors, fulfilling our parts in the earthly university of life. But when we return to the world of spirit, that is when we experience the ultimate reality. And if I can diverge a bit and refer to Hinduism, the Hindus believe that the ultimate reality is being absorbed into the light of Brahman, into the oneness of God. And that is the supreme enlightenment or the ultimate self-realization. So, yes, our waking consciousness here on earth may seem very real to us, but when we get to the world of spirit, we will realize that earthly life and experience is no more than what the Hindus refer to by the term Maya. It is a dream or illusion. It's temporary and transient.
Wow. Oh, and something else is that is mentioned, our guardian angel that we have with us always in every lifetime. What kind of input would you say you've gotten from the NDEers as far as guides, angels?
Mm-hmm. Well, a number of NDEers, not that many, mind you, but a fair number mentioned so-called beings of light. So when they were at the Veil, they were talking with the light, not as we do on Earth, but it's like a quasi-telepathic communication. And some of them described the light as God or the source. Other NDEers had encounters with what they considered to be angels or beings of light, or perhaps messengers of God. And I do have a couple of pages in my book devoted to beings of light. One NDEer said that all of us have at least one guardian angel, possibly more. And those guardian angels are with us for an eternity. They are with us for all time. We also have spirit guides. And I have a chapter in my book on the phenomenon of soul agreements. And apparently, and again, there weren't too many NDE accounts that addressed this concept of a soul agreement. But between earthly incarnations, we have a life review. And as part of the outcome of that life review, we, on a collegial basis, communicate with our guardian angels and with our spirit guides on our next earthly incarnation and what the goal or mission will be during that incarnation, so that our soul or our consciousness can progress or can evolve, take that next step forward to an eventual communion with the light. And as part of the soul agreement, a number of overarching parameters are articulated. And I might add that there is a parallel here with the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Eastern Buddhism considers that there is such a thing as a soul agreement, and that we decide in consultation with our spirit guides and guardian angels the length on earth of our next incarnation, how long we're going to be here, what continent we will be born on, what family we will be born into, who will be our parents and family, the circumstances of the community that we are born into. But that aside, our earthly experience is determined by what we choose on earth. And God gives us the gift or privilege of free will to decide how we will experience earth. He doesn't force us, or she doesn't force us into anything we don't wish on ourselves. So when we reach the proverbial fork in the road, it's up to us, in exercise of our free will, to decide whether we're going to choose a path in which we can embrace positive energy or go down a path which has various pitfalls filled with negative energy. If we follow the path of positive energy, that will keep us aligned with our earthly mission and draw our souls towards the light. If we go down the path of negative energy, we fall away, and that will have consequences ultimately at the soul level for our consciousness and may well be determinative of our future incarnations. So those beings of light are very instrumental in helping us plan our next incarnation, but also, I might add, in helping us during our earthly incarnation. But there are two conditions that are required. Our guardian angels will not intervene to help us unless we ask them to with the proper intention. So we have to ask. It's a form of prayer to Om or God or the source. Otherwise, they're not allowed to intervene. That would frustrate God's plan for us. And often the NDEers, when they are at the veil, they're accompanied by a being of light, which is imparting vast amounts of divine knowledge into their soul and helping them review their life and what lies ahead of them when they return to earth. And often the soul will argue with the being of light. I don't want to return to earth. I'm having too much fun where I am. I'm experiencing divine peace, bliss, euphoria. Why should I go back? But in the end, the soul has no choice. They're magnetically pulled back to their earthly bodies for their mission on earth to continue.
Wow, isn't that just so fascinating, Douglas? Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it.
I found it fascinating, and I still do.
Yes. Oh, we have about 2 minutes left in the show. What last words do you want to say to everyone before we say goodbye, Douglas?
Well, just quickly, many of the NDEers, after their experience, they wanted to heal others with energy. So some of them became Reiki masters, healers, intuitives, and empaths. So I think your audience would be interested in that. Also, if I can sum up the NDE messaging, it is to give to the world more than you receive from it.
Oh,
And just for your listeners to bear in mind, another key NDE message is the only thing that the soul consciousness is permitted to take with it when it leaves its physical body, when the heavenly umbilical cord is severed, is the unconditional love and caring it's given to others. And that is theirs to keep for an eternity.
that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Everyone, check out Spiritual Revelations from Beyond the Veil. You're gonna love it. And Douglas, I understand you have another book in the making. So I think we're gonna have to get together when that comes available. I can't wait to read it. I am just so grateful to have you on the show today.
It would be my absolute pleasure to return to your show, Paula. Thank you so
Um,
much.
Thank you for your beautiful words and messages. Oh my gosh. Love, hugs, and blessings, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Douglas, love, hugs, and blessings. Thank you so much.
Light and blessings to you, Paula. Thank you.
Thank you.